Well, good morning, everyone. Thomas Montgomery here. It's a beautiful Friday morning, July 21st, 2023. We get together with our distribution partners and now our clients most weekday mornings, I should say, at 8 o'clock Central to talk about strategies, tips, techniques, share success stories, and support each of you. We are here on Friday just wrapping up a tremendous week. We have put a lot of emphasis this month, meaning July 2023, in encouraging our distribution partners to lead with a credit and funding program. So while there are different resources, different programs, different solutions to different problems that you'll find on your replicated website, which we provide you free, I really believe that the credit and funding program is probably where, in general, most of us should start. And we've talked about those reasons. My goal is to help you be successful. And that means we need to enroll clients, we need clients to be successful, and we need you to get paid. So it's like this ecosystem where there's not conflicting means. We don't win if you lose. You don't win if the clients lose. We're all in this together. So our purpose today is to reiterate where what we call the core, CRE, the core training is. And I know you're busy and there's lots of other things to do. But if you'll go to the careers page on your replicated website or on ours, guaranteedfunding.org, careers page, we have put what we call the core, CRE, the core trainings here, because there's lots of other trainings we've done. And if you want to go through those, that's fine. But I think, I know if you'll go through these, you certainly should have the competence and the confidence to be successful. And so if you're going to follow our recommendation of leading with the credit and funding program, you'll see that there's a bullet there. And there are 7 trainings that we've had. Now, the last thing you need is me lecturing you, so I won't lecture you. But the first thing I should mention is I think some people in our society will skim things. And I don't believe that you'll be an expert in anything by skimming. So what's my point? Well, when you go through, if you've not gone through these 7 trainings, it doesn't mean just play it in the background while you're doing other things. This is an opportunity to help other people's lives. And you should be making $3,000 a day because you make $3,000 per client. Our goal is to work with 1 client a day. So this isn't get rich quick. Some person just won $1 billion in the lottery in Los Angeles a night or 2 ago. This is not winning the lottery. But for a lot of us, an extra $3,000 a day for side gig income is respectable. And that's the proposition that we offer you. If you're a distribution partner, come in, get trained, no cost. We've talked about everything from the overview of how the program works. We've given you specific scripting. We've talked about this miraculous guarantee that is such a draw. It'll raise some scrutiny, but we've described that as well. We've dove into what you need to do to be making money by helping others. On part 4, we spent time talking about what happens once the client enrolls. Because I know you don't want to just go enroll a client, just get your money and not worry about the client being satisfied. We want the client to be satisfied and successful. So part 4 talks about what happens after the client enrolls. Not that it's your responsibility to implement, but we want to be transparent. We want you to know. Part 5, we went through numerous success stories. Part 6, FAQs. And then most recently, we just talked about leads. Some of you are really good at developing your own leads. Some of you are developing your own campaigns. We talked yesterday about Lon, who's on our training again this morning. Lon's awesome. Lon went out, identified a key influencer, in this case, a faith-based leader. He brought that faith-based leader in to his organization, his sales organization, And I wouldn't be surprised, without any exaggeration, if Lon enrolls hundreds, maybe thousands, we'll just say hundreds of clients in the month of August through that relationship. So if you have that knack, that's great. But if you don't, we can always go acquire leads. And that's what we talked about in part 7. We don't want to give up. Well, we shouldn't give up at all, but we don't want to give up saying, well, I don't have any leads. I don't know anyone to talk to. Well, that's okay. That this isn't a model whereby you're out selling to your mother and your brother and your family. I mean, if they would benefit from the program, that's fine, but that's not the model. There's 300 million plus Americans. Many of them either own a business or would like to own a business, but often credit and funding is the barrier. Well, you and I have the solution. And so one of the things we concentrated on part 7 is let's just simply let's hook our hose to a running faucet. There's literally people out there looking for these services now, but they don't know that you exist, and they probably don't know that the services are available. So that's what we talked about in part 7, just to make it simple. So with that being said, if you're one of our small business consultants, which this is obviously the heading here, our job is to support you and train you and help you be successful, and obviously make sure the clients are successful. So let's talk about client success, and then we're going to come back and talk about your success. So how do we define a client success? And we'll specifically narrow it down to credit and funding, because again, we understand there's different programs, different resources. So each one works differently. So to avoid that confusion, we're just going to drill into the credit and funding program, which is one of the pages that's on your replicated website. And specifically, that's the section of the careers page training that we're talking about. So how do we define client success? Well, for credit and funding, we define that as better credit and getting funding. A minimum of $100,000 of funding, and we guarantee that. And that's what we get into in part 2, a deeper dive of that. So we have a very clear goal of what we're trying to help clients accomplish. And if they'll participate, we guarantee it'll work. We promise, it's in writing. If we should ever have a client that's dissatisfied, which invariably will happen with any business, if we have a client that's dissatisfied, our goal is to identify that issue and resolve that issue. And if we can't, each of our agreements include an arbitration provision. And that's not meant to be punitive. It's like, okay, well, apparently you don't think we did what we were supposed to do. Let's sit down, independent arbitrator, and get it resolved, right? So very, very friendly, very amenable. And I can tell you with all honesty, we've never, ever, not even once, had a client that suggested, oh, you guys didn't do what you promised to do. You didn't resolve it. I want to do arbitration. So what I want you to feel comfortable with is we will do what we promise to do. And if we don't, there's a system to resolve that. And I can give you, and I can update you daily if you want, that we've never, ever, ever even had one client say, no, you guys didn't do what I want you to do. Now, sometimes clients will expect things that we didn't promise to do, and we'll do the best we can, but that's the purpose of an agreement. We clarify what we do promise to do. On the credit and funding program, there are 4 promises that we make, and it's really important that you know those 4 promises, because those most likely will be a great draw for the client, for the prospect to become a client, and key for you enrolling people and making money. So with no upfront cost with the credit and funding program, we promise to do 4 things. And we have never failed to do those 4, or if there's a hiccup, we never failed to resolve that. Again, we're committed to client satisfaction. So what are the 4 things? You need to know these 4 things. We've talked about it in prior training. Number 1 is we promise for free to help clients remove applicable negative items from their credit report. Well, why would we want to do that? Well, it is the credit and funding program, and we know that the key to funding is getting qualified for funding. And typically that falls under the for the 3 C's: credit, collateral, and capacity. Interestingly, innovatively, the credit and funding program actually addresses all 3 C's, but the first of those 4 points of value proposition is that we'll help them remove applicable negative items for free. So it's not credit repair, but it does repair their credit. Well, that right away is going to attract a lot of people, because they'll know if they have shitty credit or if they have credit issues. And now, instead of them having to pay to have that resolved, they get it resolved for free. So that's number 1. That's a big one, right? That's why the credit and funding program, I believe, is so successful, is it connects with people with where their head's at. Now, you and I know there's more to getting funding or getting lots of funding than just credit, but we're going to get to that in a second. So value proposition number 1, and obviously this is in writing and you'll see it as you go through the 7 training modules. The second proposition is we offer to help them add new primary trade lines, not AU, not authorized user, but primary trade lines. Now, why does that matter? As we've talked about, you don't reach a high credit score, an optimized credit profile by just removing negative items. We need to also have a presence of positive trade lines, so we can help them with that. Number 2. Number 3 is we will immediately transfer over. Now listen to this, and I know it can sound too good to be true, but if you go through the training, you'll understand the in-depth background that is legal and credible. But we will literally transfer $10,000 of assets to each credit and funding client, typically within 24 hours. Now, what does that mean? So now all of a sudden they have assets to put on their financials, whether it be their individual financials or the balance sheet of the business. Now they have collateral that can be pledged for loans, because we know a lot of, not all, but a lot of lenders want to see collateral. Plus, then we turn around and help them liquidate those assets, because those assets are receivables, real accounts receivables, and that turns into cash flow for them. So you can see that this innovative program, the credit and funding, we're addressing all 3 C's with no upfront cost. Now, we've covered, there certainly is a refundable setup fee. There absolutely is a refundable setup fee of $999.99. We see about half the people pay that, and about half want to finance it. And if they want to finance it, that's fine. We can get them funding offers. Well, those funding offers are great, right? Because they could get not only enough to finance the refundable setup fee, just a penny shy of $1,000, but they also could end up getting cash approvals for additional amounts. So now they have $10, $20, $30, $40, $50,000 of working capital that's typically in their pocket within just a couple of days of enrolling. So that takes us to the 4th and final element. So the first was helping remove negative for free. The second was adding positive. The third was transferring the $10,000 of assets to provide collateral and then helping them liquidate those receivables to increase cash flow. That's number 3. Number 4 is that we guarantee them a $100,000 capital raise. You'll see the 30-day guarantee training in part 2. And some people right there, oh no, that's not too good to be true. No, it's not too good to be true. It is real. Oh, that's not legal. It's absolutely legal. We've gone through the scrutiny of regulators to defend that this program is legal, it's ethical, and it's compliant. And it's found to be legal, ethical, and compliant. We've literally had government agencies look at this because we grew so quick and said, hey, is this too good to be true? And they reviewed the nuances, and it's not. It's legal. It's compliant. We wouldn't be here every morning promoting this. We wouldn't be enrolling 100 to 500 new clients a day in the credit and funding if it wasn't legit. And realize all the training that we provide is public, right? What kind of password did you have to put in to get onto this Zoom today? You register, anyone can register and attend. What kind of password do you have to put in to go visit our training videos? No. So as we've discussed, sometimes when you're a pioneer, you're innovative, you're doing something that's creative or clever, some people don't understand it. So part of what you and I have to do is build financial literacy, because if they understand what we do, it's certainly legal, compliant, and effective. So we've defined success from the client perspective: improve credit and funding, obviously the guarantee of the 100,000 credit, 100,000 funding. From your perspective, it's very, very important that we also can define success. Well, it goes back to the small business consultant license agreement that each of you signed. So we made promises to train, to support you, to assist you. Hopefully you feel like we're doing that well. If not, let us know and we'll do something different. We have these daily trainings, should have weekly one-on-ones with you and addressing issues as needed. But you made promises, and it's so crucial that we all are on the same page. So as a small business consultant, you promised after an initial 30-day grace period to enroll at least 2 clients a week, 8 a month. Well, why is that? Well, instead of you paying the license fee, the $10,000 license fee, we don't want you to pay it. We didn't ask you to pay it when you enrolled. We said, hey, we'll waive that perpetually. You'll never need to pay it. But after a 30-day grace period, you need to be active. And again, active participation is defined in the agreement as at least 2 clients enrolled per week. If you're not hitting that number, we don't want to be mad at you or force negative ramifications, but we need to fix it, right? If you're not enrolling at least 2 clients a week, we need to fix it because you're not compliant and technically you owe the license fee, but we don't want you to pay the license fee. We want you to be compliant so we can go help people, because if you win, we win, client wins. So that's where this Part 7 training is crucial. If you don't have the flow coming through, then there's one of 2 parts of your process that could be broken. Either you don't have enough leads and or your conversion is flawed. So it's one of those 2, because if you have enough leads and you have reasonable conversion, you're going to have enrollments, you're going to make money, you're going to be compliant. So that's what we would want to work with you on. If you're not hitting your 2 a week and you're past that 30-day grace period, where is the problem? Is it leads or conversions? Well, leads, you should have a pretty good understanding of how many people you're talking to and how many people are in your funnel, even if you don't really have a very sophisticated system. But with that being said, I would explain to you that as each client goes to your landing page, which is, so you're going to have a website looks like this, your own link in the credit and funding program. What we've talked about in the training is don't just blast out your link. That is not the best practice. Don't blast out the link. Instead, get on the phone with the prospect and walk them through. And you'll see that in those 7 training modules. But the point I'm trying to make now is when they're on your page and someone fills out their first name, last name, email, and phone and hits the blue, I guess, or purplish button, you get a notification. So that's someone that's truly in your sales funnel. So you'll know that, right? You're notified via email every time someone goes to your landing page and fills out this lead capture form. So you can count at any time how many people have done that. And that's what your real funnel is, because until they've done this, they're just a name. They're not really a prospect. Once they fill this out, they're a prospect. Now, again, as we've talked about on training, if you'll be on the phone with them when they do this, they hit the blue button, it goes next, it'll give them the terms and conditions as step 2. Stay on the phone with them. Don't rush them, don't push them, don't hard close them, just walk them through it. 9 out of 10 people on average will then go ahead and sign up. Well, if you're on the phone with them, of course, you know they signed up, but even beyond that, the system will email you a notification. Bam, they've signed up. Awesome. So once a lead has filled out the lead capture form, hit the purple or blue button, whatever that is, filled out the terms and conditions, you're notified. Now we implement the client, and we had training on what that implementation after that point looks like. And you'll see that back on Part 4. So you're paid 2 ways, right? As a small business consultant, you're paid $100 for each client when they enroll, plus you're paid 3 points of the client's capital raise. So you're kind of paid twice. And so if you're not familiar with the intricacies of what happens after they've completed the terms and conditions, that's where Part 4 comes in. So we like to keep Friday training short. So we're going to wrap it up. My goal today is to reiterate on the careers page of our website and or of your replicated website, there's crucial training You might want to start with the overview here. There's other trainings, I know, but in the beginning, I would just focus in on this. Now, there's a few of you that are a bit more sophisticated and really want to focus on the trade lines, and that's fine. So there's trade line training. There's a page on your website for the $100,000 trade line, and there's 2 videos there that you can plug into. So you're authorized to start selling the trade lines if you want. We've talked about that. You make as much or as little as you want. Many of you are making $500 to $1,000 each time you're doing a trade line. But for the average small business consultant, not that average is bad, most of us are average, we probably should start with the credit and funding. So that's my plea to you, is if you'll please make sure that you go through these 7 core trainings. And if you don't have leads, follow the prompting on part 7. Get those leads, whether they be free or buying leads or generating leads. But we have to have leads. If you don't have that's what you're bringing to the table, right? As a small business consultant, we're doing the work of implementation. So that wasn't your role. What you promised to do is to go out and create awareness and feed in at least 2 people a week. And if you're not doing that, you're not doing what you promised. So we'll do what we can to help you and support you, but ultimately it's up to you. And if you're behind on that, part 7 will show you exactly how to resolve that. You can get leads or free leads. I mean, free is free. The example we gave here was the gig worker off of Fiverr that will sell you 50 hot exclusive credit repair leads for $50, $1 a piece. But regardless of how you want to get leads, we've got to have leads. You'll know when they've really entered into the sales funnel, because once they fill this out, you'll be notified. You don't want to be putting people's information into this. You want to be on the phone with them or with them and let them do it. Because again, when they hit the bar here, it's going to take them to step 2. And you don't have a power of attorney over these people. You can't sign up on their behalf. That's not good. That's not appropriate. So you want them to be filling this out. So with that being said, again, just encourage you over the weekend or your earliest convenience, make sure you've gone through the training modules, make sure that you have leads, and make sure that you're hitting those numbers, because if not, you are responsible for the terms and conditions of the small business consultant license agreement. We don't want you to pay the license fee, but if you don't perform, you are responsible for it. So instead of paying the license fee, let's perform. You make money, you have no expense, and we help people. All right, well, thanks everyone. You have a great day. We'll talk to you on Monday morning. Bye-bye.